The Hollow Whisper. The village of Blackthorn had always been shrouded in an unnatural stillness, a place where the wind refused to howl and the trees never dared to creak. It was a settlement untouched by time, swallowed by an ancient, whispering forest that few dared to venture into. At its heart stood a decrepit mansion, its presence looming over the land like a forgotten god. No one lived there. No one had for decades. Legends spoke of a scholar, an eccentric man who once sought forbidden knowledge. They said he had scoured ancient texts and whispered to things not meant for human ears. One night, his candle burned too long, and his voice joined the whispers in the dark. He was never seen again, but his home remained, silent, waiting. Elias, a traveler burdened by neither caution nor superstition, arrived in Blackthorn on a storm-kissed evening. He was drawn to the mansion like a moth to flame. Locals warned him, pleaded even, but curiosity had already sunk its talons deep into his mind. He had spent years chasing stories of the unknown, and this was a mystery he refused to leave untouched. The door yielded to his touch, groaning as if in protest. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the scent of old parchment. Candlelight flickered from an unseen source, casting restless shadows against the rotting walls. He stepped forward, and the whispers began. At first, they were nothing more than a trickle, like the distant murmuring of wind through hollow trees. Then, they grew. Words slithered into his ears, curling around his thoughts, each syllable an invitation. He tried to trace their source, but the mansion itself seemed to shift. Hallways stretched longer than they should. Doors appeared where none had been before. He found himself in a study filled with books bound in unfamiliar leather, their pages etched with symbols that pulsed like living veins. He reached for one, his fingers tingling with unnatural cold. The moment he opened it, the room darkened. The whispers ceased. A single voice replaced them. Hollow, resonant, wrong. It did not speak words, but filled Elias's mind with understanding. The scholar had not vanished. He had been consumed, transformed. He had become knowledge itself, bound to the mansion, waiting for another to take his place. The book in Elias's hands was warm now, as if alive. The ink on its pages crawled, reshaping itself, telling a story, his story. It wrote of his arrival, his discovery, his fate. His hands trembled as he tried to drop it, but his fingers would not obey. The mansion was not abandoned. It had simply been feeding. The whispers returned, rising like a chorus, eager, hungry. The light of the study flickered one last time before vanishing entirely. Outside, the village remained still, untouched by the horror within. The mansion stood as it always had, silent, waiting. And somewhere in its depths, a new voice began to whisper,